All right, guys. I have just watched the second episode of Daredevil from Netflix. It is called Cutman, and it is phenomenal, man. The writing in this leaps and bounds better than the pilot episode, I think, in my opinion. And I'm a little under the weather, so I actually got to just sit down and just zone out on it. Just so nothing distracted me. I was able to focus right on it because, Anyway, lots and lots of stuff that is going on. It's a very subtle show with what the writing and how they put together this 55 minute episode or whatever it was, okay? And for me, Battling Jack Murdoch stole the show, and they threw in a theme in there with the writing. The theme was that little, everybody have that little bit of good in them that they listen to, okay? And oh man, I'm fresh off of watching it, man. So I'm trying not to say everything all at once, man. Let's see if I can get a little structure here to slow it down. First of all, battling Jack Murdoch, Matt Murdoch's dad, a boxer. Actually, I really would have loved to seen more of the battling Jack story in Matt as a kid. And it also introduces the night nurse of Rosario Dawson. Now, those two do go together with how those stories played out because of one little thing that ties those stories together. As Matt is beat up, he's in a dumpster. A kid takes Matt up to Rosario Dawson's apartment, and she heals him up and doesn't really seem to be too shocked to see a man in a black mask with a bunch of secrets, and that's even said in there. And while he's getting worked on, he's in rough shape. He's having memories of his dad. And one of the things that you see is that even as a kid, his dad would come in beat up with the rent money from a boxing match. And as a grown up, that he's being paid off. A great fighter that is being paid off, and nobody can know that he's that great of a fighter. It's a secret, much like it's a secret of everything that Matt Murdock can do as a grown up as Daredevil. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of parallels there, right? And the first thing he does is he stitches, he gets a little swig of liquor and stitches up his dad's eye. If you flash forward into the episode, Rosario Dawson helps Matt Murdock get information that is really important to the series from a Russian thug that is all tied up, and Matt Murdock is willing to torture him to get the information that he needs. Rosario Dawson pops up and says, hit this suborbital nerve or something around his eye. So right there we have him as a kid with his dad making him stitch his eye up, and then we have the night nurse as Daredevil as a grown up showing him how to torture somebody in the same area of the eye. And I was just like, oh man, they're parallel there. That's how things are going. And as far as that little piece of good that's in him, we go into, and I'm not done with the battle on Jackman, but we also go into Karen Page and Foggy, which is kind of funny because Foggy to me is a very strong character, and Karen Page is a very weak character right now. I'm hoping she's an emerging character with her plot. I'm really not seeing. Get my coffee. I'm really not seeing. I don't know if it's the writer or the actress. I don't know. It's too early to tell. It's early in the series. But there's one or two things going on. Either Foggy is trying to figure her out, and he knows that he's wanting to know why she's sticking around the office so much. She's a new hire. Apparently, she never goes home, so he makes her go out in the night and everything like that. And she talks about how there's still blood in her apartment. She can't get it out. I can't tell if these two actually have better chemistry than Matt and Karen, because Matt and Karen in the comic were a couple. But I'm feeling Foggy either is worried about her or is he falling in love with her. And if he's falling in love with her, is this going to put a big wedge in between Foggy and Matt down the line? I mean, it can go either way, because when he takes her to the bar and she starts talking about why she's at work all the time in a very subtle way, you have to listen, you have to read into it. He starts looking at all the thugs in the bar and tells how this guy's a family man, this guy does this guy's a biker, but he does charity rallies or something. Then he goes, well, okay, that guy's a criminal, but he's on the comeback. And that's where I started seeing about all the good in it. Karen being a very weak character right now, like I said, too early to say, I don't want to repeat myself. But she and Foggy have much better chemistry than she and the actor who's Matt right now, but we haven't seen a whole lot. Okay. So anyway, that little good of peace in a minute. We go back to battling Jack Murdoch, and now we see Matt Murdock wake up blind, and we also see, as a kid, and how his dad is there, and how his dad is starting to get that spark of good that's always there. His dad's not a bad man. It's just he had things to take care of, And as these thugs are talking to him, saying that he's got to fight with Crusher Creel, who apparently is a huge fight, we get our first real bit, first or second, one of two big pieces of Marvel history there. Crusher Creel in the comic books of Marvel started out as a boxer, but he ended up turning into the Absorbing Man. So right there, Battling Jack Murdock is fighting the Absorbing Man before he gets pulled into the world of Thor and Loki. Absorbing Man can touch things, and whatever the properties are with his wrecking ball, he becomes them. If he touches a diamond, he's a diamond. He's got the properties of a diamond and stuff right there. So I was geeking out right there. I'm like, okay, now we're going to be separating the comic fans from the fans of the TV show and stuff that's going on. The second thing they did is much like how Battling Jack is keeping it a secret how great a boxer he is in order to get these payoffs and stuff. Matt Murdock is keeping his secrets from Night Nurse, Rosario Dawson. And she starts calling him Mike. Now, the whole point of Mike Murdock being an important name is that in the Silver Age, Spider-Man, I think it was Spider-Man, after I sat there and said that big spiel about the real comic book fans and stuff, watch me mess this up. But basically, Spider-Man figured out that Matt Murdock was Daredevil, so he wrote him a letter to his law firm saying, I figured out who you are, but I'm not going to tell anybody, and Karen Page wrote it. So in order to keep from being busted, Stan Lee brought in the Patty Duke effect with Matt Murdock and said that Mike Murdock was his twin brother. Somehow that worked in. And I think one of the reasons that worked is I think even Stan in the comic or something like that was like, yeah, this is stupid, and Foggy went to school with him the whole time and never heard of a twin brother, la 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 la, and all that stuff. And that eventually went away, but I think it stood there for like 2 or 3 years in the comic, So calling him Mike Murdock, I'm sitting here like, she did not just do that, And I know that from the official handbook of the Marvel Universe that came out in the 80s when I was a kid, when it under aliases it said Mike. That's how I remember it. So right there, they're pulling from the comic, which is great. They got parallels of what's going on in the story for bookends. And then the actual episode, everything clicked for me with their writing. I had to adjust. I feel like it's shot in a claustrophobic way. I feel like these long, drawn-out scenes, I can't, I was having problems figuring out what is relevant to the story and what's not. And then all of a sudden they had Battling Jack Murdock decide that he was not going to take a dive for Crusher Creel. And he gets on a payphone. And this scene they did on the payphone, they added a little bit of soundtrack to it finally, a little bit of noise. And it's just this actor who's playing Battling Jack Murdock talking on a phone to somebody about how he wants his son to hear everybody cheer for his old man. Because his son always watched watched his dad lose these fights on the television, and listen to him now that he's blind and stuff. So he goes in there, and I thought that was just a fantastic, amazing scene. I don't know what that actor pulled from. Maybe it's Where I'm a Dad, but that little, just a man in a payphone talking, that little bit of acting just, bam, got me. It was just fantastic. Okay, so I wish they had shown the fight, but they had shown the Matt Murdock as a kid and blind listening to it, and hears his dad wins. He's jumping up and down. Then it cuts to Jack Murdock running to his locker to get the hell out of there so he can get the payoff and make sure it's, before the mobsters come and get him. And he stops, and for a split second you think the mobsters are waiting for him at the door, and they got you. They're like, oh my God, they got him. And he turns around and he hears the crowd cheering for him. Oh my God, it's great. There's also a line that Battling Jack and Little Matt said to each other in a little conversation. Basically, it's not how many times you hit the mat, it's how you get up. And all of a sudden, the very last scene where Daredevil is going into the nest of the thugs, the mobsters and stuff who have kidnapped a little boy, every old boy movie fan out there probably popped at the same time. Not one person figured it out. Not one person saw it. Anybody that saw the movies, Old Boy, the Korean movie and the American movie, which I love both, there's this long, drawn-out scene, a long shot, which is kind of appropriate to call it a long shot because for one man to go up against, I don't know what had to have been 20 thugs, mobsters, or whatever, it's probably grown in my head since I watched it. They just set the camera down, and it might have moved a little bit left, it might have panned right, it might have panned left, but to get to this boy, Daredevil, who is starting to come off like a Catholic themed sadomasochist who likes getting hurt and loves to inflict pain. I haven't figured that out yet. That's one of the themes. What is that goodness in us, that little piece of good? The thugs didn't have the little piece of good, but Daredevil has that little piece of good. Battling Jack found his little piece of good. Night Nurse found that piece of good. Froggy Nelson found that little piece of good when he's talking to Karen and reminding people of it. But anyway, during that long shot, they just set the camera down looking down this hallway, and it's this big, long, sloppy, nasty fight of Matt Murdock refusing to go down, and he's fighting these guys, man, and he's fighting them, and doors are getting thrown, and he's sitting there and he's hurting, man. He's still all beat up and sewed up from in the stitches and stuff from the night nurse and stuff, and he's going to save this little boy and stuff, man. And the shot just goes on, and it's just bam, bam. That's a shot like from that Old Boy. There's a long shot of Old Boy fighting like 30 to 50 guys with a freaking hammer, and it's gritty. It's not pretty. It's them trying to emulate a real fight. So that goes back to the ghost, in the movie, Rosario Dawson looked at Daredevil and said, what happened, you're not going to tell me your secrets, but what happens if you get a ghost here? And at the end of the show, I felt like battling Jack Murdock's ghost took over Matt Murdock, and that's really Matt Murdock's little piece of good, what he got from battling Jack Murdock, So that's my review of Cutman Episode 2. Go watch it. If you like these reviews, let me know. This is new for my channel, and I don't want to just make a whole bunch of channels, a whole bunch of videos with every episode of Daredevil trying to get views. I think I'll probably, if you like these reviews and you want me to keep doing them, if I see something of substance in the episodes of Daredevil, I'll make a review of it and stuff. So thumbs up, subscribe, let me know. Later, guys.